I mean, it's good for kids, and adults like it too. It's not your usual run-of-the-mill series.
It's had amazing reviews from adult reviewers just reviewing it as a programme, and it's had a very good press.
There's always hassles on location. It's only, obviously, we always take a little bit of a circus with us. Bits and pieces always cause a problem.
It's the quality of the writing that interested me. I mean, I felt quite privileged to be in it.
I think the thing I like about it is it doesn't talk down to kids. It addresses some fairly important issues, and it addresses them on their level.
Dramatically, it's possible to do, not to change the world necessarily, but to do our bit here and there. And Stephen is a marvelously non-sexist writer.
It's finishing one script and starting another one immediately that's really difficult, because, you know, when you finish one script, you think you've conquered the world. You don't expect to have to conquer it again.
Roll, please.
1501, take 2.
Okay, so, and action, Mr. Perfect. And go, boys.
I'm being serious here.
Colin, you are almost worth knowing for moments like this.
But it could work.
Me?
Yeah.
A rock star?
Well, what could be more natural?
Off the top, how about fish cycling?
But you can sing. Kenny, I'm talking business here.
So what happened to lunch?
A man called Bill Moffat, who's a head teacher in Johnston, Scotland, which is a very small town outside Paisley, had an idea to do an educational project which was called the Norbridge Files, which
Sure, look, school's out forever in a couple of weeks' time. We've got to start thinking careers. There's a real world out there.
Yeah, I know, you ought to try it sometime.
At the Edinburgh Festival that year, I happened to meet Lewis Rudd, who's the controller of young people's programs at Central, and being pushy and whatever, I said, I've got something I want to talk to you about, because Lewis actually has the taste, I think, to see something that can be special.
I did think it was very good was when I saw the first of Stephen Moffat's scripts, which I think had a quality which is quite rare.
See, I happen to like the contrast. I happen to like comedy drama. I happen to like being not categorizable as either a comedy or a drama. I don't see why you should be. I don't see why humour should be a device that has to be isolated. I think it's perfectly acceptable that humour is a part of drama. It's a part of life, you know. You can make a gag just before you die, after all. So.
Hey, back at the newsroom right now.
Tell me.
You had this passionate affair with this woman. Callously, you throw her over for another. Devastated and bent on revenge, she comes down to the newsroom to expose your secret life.
I don't have a secret life.
You do now.
I wanted to be like Charlene, our neighbours, really. She was my idol. And once I realised that I didn't have the right touch with the spanner, I was right locking up bolts, but it's unlocking them. Useless. So, like, I started off in show business. It's where all ex-mechanics go, apparently. I didn't even make it to mechanics. I thought I'd start here. Hopefully, if I get any good, I can meet some mechanics that have been in this business for quite a long time. And then, like, get some contacts and move out of this into mechanics. And be a mechanic. But it's a long and hard road, you know.
I have got ambition, but not to the point where I will step on people to get what I want, you know. But that's what she does.
Action!
I knew this was coming, I just wish I could have been a little more direct about it.
And of course, it's a very easy role to get wrong, because if there isn't some kind of vulnerability under it, if there isn't some kind of charm, she's just a dragon.
Sure, she was just trying to be friendly.
Never mind about the foot.
I think I might have broken a toe.
I left school when I was 15, and then got an agent and started working. That's something I've always wanted to do.
It doesn't matter. Tell us why you're here.
I thought you knew about all this. What?
I went for an audition, and I didn't think I got it, because you never think you get it. And then I went away for the weekend. And I came back, and there were loads of messages on my answer machine saying that I'd missed a recall to go back and read with Dexter. So I thought I'd lost it completely, and then they rang again and said they wanted to see me. So the second time I went, they told me that I got the part. And started 2 weeks later. Just brilliant.
Because I've never been a 17-year-old girl, it's rather interesting to think like one, or to force yourself to consider the world from that perspective. And it actually started to make me a bit angry from time to time, because I mean, I'd never really thought about it before, but you know, when I used to consider the world from the viewpoint of this dynamic, highly intelligent, highly talented 17-year-old girl, and thinking what's going to happen to her, thinking how much harder it's going to be for her than it would have been if she'd been a boy. It used to make me very angry.
Colin's a bit like me. You know, as soon as you get through them doors, all normality goes, really.
No, I'm going on 16.
Can't do much.
Well, it's very simple, really.
Of course you get tired, but I mean, every morning you have to complete a certain amount of work, come what may. So, I mean, the energy level is just something that you just have to have.
Okay, that's fine. So we go up as far as what happens is we take Julia. We go with Julia, right, to here. She goes and Lee comes in with the whole script, and then he goes round.
But when I get the script, I kind of make sure that the writer hasn't told me anything about it, because I think that is like a sort of crucial moment when you first read the script, because you get the whole feel of the script in one go, and in actual fact you kind of retain that throughout the whole of the making of the script.
All right.
Actually, isn't it? Yeah, it is all right.
Is it?
Yeah. Because I mean, this kind of just doesn't exist.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Okay, here we go. You don't care about his foot. You don't take 4.
All right. And action.
Kenny, over here, emergency.
What?
I knew this was coming. I just wish I could have been a little more direct about it. This is Brian Magboy. He goes to Bentonford High School, 5th year.
Hi.
Tell Kenny what you told me.
She dropped a typewriter on my foot.
Not that.
Who did? Her. Oh, Sarah. I'm sure she was just trying to be friendly.
Never mind about the foot.
I think I might have broken a toe.
It doesn't matter. Tell us why you're here.
I thought you knew about all this. Well, what?
Tell him.
The guy at your school, Sullivan, yeah? He phoned me as part of the recruitment. Recruitment? Yeah, for the paper. He said they were trying to spread out to the other schools a bit more. That's fair enough, I suppose.
Tell him what job you were recruited for, Brian.
Well, assistant editor.
I like writing Kenny because he's just like me, really. And he can say all the rather doleful things about life that I do from time to time.
Just why this idea is just totally insane.
Well, don't we keep a file of reserved stories, general interest stuff?
Yeah, the rainy day file.
What's in it?
Wet stories.
He's very, like, straight down the middle. He's sort of like a peacemaker between Spike and Linda. He's very, very intelligent. Probably the most intelligent one in the newsroom. But he hasn't really got that much of a stronger personality. He's very straight.
I wanna be there where kindness is king.
In this series I get a chance to play a rock star like Kenny, the yummiest man in rock, which will be really nice because I actually do play in a band. So, you know, to actually bring the two mediums together within the one will be really nice.
And goes out to anyone who
The episode we're filming at the moment, I discussed with Paul Reynolds and Lee Ross ages ago, which is the basic idea of Paul or Colin promoting Kenny as a rock star, because Lee Ross does actually have a band and does actually sing. So actually that episode didn't arise from, I can't remember whose suggestion it was, but we were all talking about it and it sort of arose from discussion.
Action, Paul.
Kenny, I want to talk futures.
Yeah, so do I. I think you ought to consider having one.
Kenny, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Being nice to people in a new and older age group. Being dumped by all my girlfriends for being too boringly nice and never getting further through a sentence than but Linda.
Exactly.
Colin, I know that you arranged for Fres to take me in my wardrobe.
You're going to love this. I'll just go and get it. I'll find the tape, Lee. This is the theme tune to the new series. After 3, I'll join in, all right?
Right, ready?
Go on, it's called It's Not the Way to Run a Country. And it's the new theme tune to the second series of Press Gang. You've heard it here, you've heard it first. So make sure the sound level's all right because there's a lot of bass. You know what I mean? All right then, go on, Lee. Ready? Doom, you heard something today. Go on.
Get out of it. Copyright and all that.
But you know, as I say, when you're doing it like once a fortnight, when you come up with a new idea once a fortnight, it's not so much, you're not sort of sitting around waiting. I mean, inspiration doesn't come to you if you sit around waiting for it in the bath. You know, if you sit and stare at the typewriter and think there must be some interesting way of having Spike come through the door.
Hey,
Am I cute today or what? I smiled in the mirror and tried to follow me to work. Girls, please. Tongues in. Hey, I don't want to get vulgar here, but have you noticed how terrific my rear view is? I walk past and chairs big.
I don't know, I was always a show-off, you know. And, like, that's why I sort of got into it in the first place anyway, because, like, I was this real little pain when I was a kid, you know, running about, hey, look at me, sort of thing, you know. And my mum took me to this place and the shows sort of, like, channeled some energy, I think, you know. And it sort of led on from there, you know. I don't think it was actually a conscious decision until I was about 16 that I decided, right, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
It's the most conceited thing I've ever heard.
Conceited? Well, that's a bit ungrateful. There's bits of sensitivity as well, there's little bits of drama in there as well, which are always nice to play. Stephen's very good at writing that sort of stuff, you know. But most of the time he's generally got these one-liners that he just throws off the top of his head, you know.
I don't suppose there's any chance of you going out with me Friday night, is there? Don't slam the...
That was a no, right? Pike's a lot shrewder than I am. He's got a lot more funnier lines. He can throw them straight off the cuff and stuff like that, you know. It'd take me about a good 2 or 3 minutes to think of a really funny line like Spike does, you know. He's like Steve, he can just, you know, Steve the writer, he just throw them off the top of his head and they're funny every time.
It makes you giggle when you do it and you wish you'd said it. I never did. I certainly didn't do it when I was 17. A hell of a lot smarter than I am.
Steph lets me put my own gel on. She never used to. But, you know, after a few weeks working, you know, a bit of mutual respect, and in the end she said, yeah, put your own gel on. Crazy.
Take exactly 20 seconds of your life, I promise you. Chase the gate.
Nice.
Away from the editing until the editor has assembled the film. And we both sit down and watch it together, and again you get this kind of like response. It's either working, or in certain areas it's not working, but it's just a sort of feeling, so that you kind of sit down, you enjoy quite a lot of it, and then suddenly you go, oh, this isn't working. So I tend to just like work on sort of gut reaction, really.
But I don't make a habit of it.
The start of the show's been pretty well set by the writing and Sandra Hasty, the producer. She, you know, they've decided on what they want it to look like, and we pretty much conform to their vision. I mean, that's what our job is, really.
Which doesn't mean I don't want a financial report on time and accurate at the Thursday meeting.
Doesn't mean you're going to get it either. Sometimes you're kind of okay yourself.
Linda, it's my gin. How's it doing?
Oh, could go off at any moment.
I remember. I'm sure I had a present for you.
Yeah, you have one, all right. You just didn't give it me.
Well, I got lost that day. Probably.
Well, we're basically blending the dialogue tracks at the moment and the atmospheres behind them. So that's an episode in itself, really, just battling away with those. We'll then later on add all of the other atmospheres that give the scene the atmosphere that we want it to have, above and beyond what it actually does have.
You hold them down, I'll frisk them for weapons.
Come in.
Mr. Winter's up. But you don't know what he was trying to do.
His job, Linda.
But if the Gazette stops...
Not if, Linda. Not if.
We won't be able to start it again.
And whose fault would that be?
Bit of a sort of individualist, really. He's someone who left a major newspaper, and I think because he became slightly disenchanted with kind of the tabloid world and wanted to get back to kind of grassroots level of journalism, you know. What's in it for him, I don't know. Just a kind of personal pride, I guess, in getting back to what he believes in. I was told that he wore cowboy boots. I've always wanted to wear cowboy boots.
Kenny's been gone 2 days. I need an assistant editor.
You see that pile of work heaped over there? Somewhere under it is my desk.
I wouldn't ask if it wasn't an emergency.
Look, I've got 3 stories to do for the next edition, 2 cinema reviews, and so much homework I will not get to bed between school days.
I used to do English at school, but it was more like English literature. So it was more reading books and then writing about them rather than making up my own stuff.
Fraz, yes, basically he's pretty sarky and deadpan kind of guy. Doesn't really give straight answers, tries to get out of things, pretty lazy, a bit like myself.
Hi, Kenny. Nice shirts.
Look, Kenny, Fraz is in your wardrobe. You must have been trying to tape it. Fraz, how could you do
Colin,
such a
look,
thing?
what is going on here? What are you two up to?
Just a wardrobe check.
Yes, you seem to have one. Get out! Just get out of my house, right now!
Sure.
She's rejected these roughs, so can you have them ready before tomorrow?
No problem.
Good.
Sam, the new character, is the head of the graphics department, and she's a very flirtatious, very fun-loving character. And she's in conflict with Linda. They don't actually get on too well, and so it's a sort of a rival for Linda, which is the first time that somebody's come in that could possibly take an edge away from her, which is fun.
I'm 17, but I always get to play younger parts. Why is that? Look at me and you can see.
Other children's series set in schools, you very rarely see the teachers having a social life. They are just teachers within the establishment of the school. And I just find it so amusing because I usually play gangsters and bent policemen, you know what I mean? And to play this assistant headmaster with this very torrid love life is wonderful. I love it.
Two drinks. Found a friend.
I'm cultivating one.
Hey, that's a female. I've heard about those. Private says you haven't got a chance.
Spike, what have I told you about betting?
What?
Never try with me. $5 it is.
Okay.
I had an audition yesterday. It wasn't an audition as such. I went in there and they gave me a script and said, look, there's a couple of million, think about it. I took it, I took the money. But I said I can't promise anything, you know. I'm going to have a long holiday after this.
Don't